Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivraj Kacharya Ashtotar Sutashi Srimad Bhagavatam Abhay Charanar Binda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivraj Kacharya Ashtotar Sutashi Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana Ki. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanang Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayang Mudiraye. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 82, Text number 3 to 6. We will recite text 3. Please repeat after me. Nikshatriya mahim kurvan Rama sastra bhritang baraha Nipanam ruddhiraughena Yatra chakre mahan hrada Nikshatriyang mahim kurvan Rama sastra bhritang baraha Nipanang ruddhiraughena Yatra chakre mahahrada Nikshatriya mahim kurvan Rama sastra bhritang baraha Nipanang ruddhiraughena Yatra chakre mahan hrada. Please repeat. Nikshatriya mahim kurvan Rama sastravritaambaraha Nripanam gruddhiraughena Yatra chakre maharada Nikshatriya mahim kurvam Rama sastravritaambaraha Nipanam ruddhiraughena Yatra chakre mahan hrida. Vaishnavis. Nikshatriya mahim kurvan Rama sastra vitambaraha Nipanam ruddhiraughena Yatra chakre mahan hradan. Word-to-word translation, translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nikshatriyam, reed of kings. Mahim, the earth. Kurvan, having made. Ramaha, Lord Parshuram. Sastra, of weapons. Britam, of the holders. Baraha, the greatest. Nipanam, of kings. Rudhira, of the blood. Oghena, with the floods. Yatra, where. Chakre, he made. Maha, great. Hradan, lakes. Translation. After reading the earth of kings, Lord Parshuram, the foremost of warriors, created huge lakes from the king's blood at Samantaka Panchaka. Although he is never tainted by karmic reactions, Lord Parshuram performed sacrifices there to instruct people in general. Thus, he acted like an ordinary person trying to free himself of the sins. From all parts of Bharatavarsha, a great number of people now came to that Samantak Panchaka on pilgrimage. O descendant of Bharata, among those arriving at the holy place were many Vrishnis such as Gada, Pradyumna, Samba, hoping to be relieved of their sins. Akrura, Basudev, Ahuka, and other kings also went there. Aniruddha remained in city Dwaraka with Suchandra, Suka, and Sarana to guard the city, together with Kritavarma, the commander of their armed forces. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Sri Krishna's grandson Aniruddha remained in Dwaraka to protect the city because he is originally Lord Vishnu's manifestation as the guardian of the spiritual planet Sweta Dvipa. Thus ends the purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Nilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Shwapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरतिसे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरो दीनतारिणं श्रीपरमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। Hare Krishna. I seek blessings from His Grace, Radhe Shyam Prabhu, for empowering me. Actually, I'm feeling very, very awkward and embarrassed to speak in front of him. We have been trained by him, so I really feel, but as a service, I would like to do this. Hare Krishna. It's a very small purport by disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So we will discuss this purport, small purport, in two parts today, and we'll discuss about four things, that is identity, activity, purpose, and purity. How these four things relate in today's purport and to all of our lives. We see in this world, whatever activity we do is based on what we identify ourselves. Because a father identifies being a father, he spends so much of time and energy raising a family. Because a mother identifies being a mother, so much of energy is spent in taking care of the children, giving love and care to the children. I remember when I was in IIT, I was not going to sit for the placements in 2009, and because Radheshyam Prabhu and other devotees had asked me to do MTech. But because it was a culture to attend the placements, you cannot just leave it. So I thought I will attend one pre-placement talk, and I will not attend all the placements and everything, because you are forced, like at least something you have to do, so as to not create that bad culture that these ISKCON devotees are like, whatever, you have to set the example. And I was also a topper, so I was asked to set the example. So I went to one pre-placement talk by uh, Intel. Now the person who came to give the talk to glorify about Intel, last 30 years he have been serving in Intel. He was speaking so much about Intel as if he eats, drinks, sleeps, everything about Intel only. And in the pre-placement talk, I was thinking, if I identify like this as servant of Lord Chaitanya, I think all my problems in spiritual life will go away. So the way people identify why he is so loyal to this company, and this company is not giving an unconditional favor to this person. The company is squeezing out all profit from this person and giving him some percentage, little bit. But because he's so deeply identifying, last 30 years, he's serving with so much of dedication. And he is the person, I came to know, that he is sent to all the institutes for representing the company so that they get good brain. So we see all our activity is based on what actually we identify with. Our identity very much shapes our activity. That is how when we go to preaching and we tell people to chant Hare Krishna, people say they don't have time. And people say that they don't have time, then who goes for the movies? Who watches Netflix? Who is on the social media? 2024 statistics says that on an average, everyone in the world spends 144 minutes in social media. That is about 2 hours, 24 minutes. We will complete around 20 rounds. And if you ask people, you chant Hare Krishna, I don't have time. What to speak of people? While I was preparing this, I was remembering my own life in IIT. When devotees came to my room, they said 1 round chanting Hare Krishna, E1RC. And I was so happy, 1 round Hare Krishna. And when the New Year came, 2006 New Year, one devotee came, was my senior in the hostel. He came and said, Ki, you have to give a gift to Krishna. I said, what gift? Now first promise that you will give that gift. I said, okay, I'll promise. Said, chant 1 more extra round for Krishna. And I remember whole night I was not able to sleep. How do I chant 2 rounds in a day? And I'm not exaggerating. Whole night I was thinking, I made a promise. Now I have to keep a promise. How will I chant 2 rounds? 2 rounds. So this is how, because we don't identify with our spiritual identity, all the material activities become so prominent, and our spiritual activities, they lose all prominence. Rather, we feel that we don't have any time for them. And that's how, what is Nitya Baddha stage? It is an unconscious forgetfulness of our real identity. Those who are Nitya Baddha, they're unconsciously forgetful of their real identity. And that's how Srila Prabhupada, when one may say, why Srila Prabhupada in all the lectures, he keeps on hammering on the same point. And so many people complain that, oh, Srila Prabhupada is speaking the same thing, same thing, same thing. But we need to ask ourselves, have we realized the same thing? That you are not this body, you are spirit, soul? To realize, to be conscious of our spiritual identity, forget about to be conscious about our spiritual identity as servant of Krishna, to be conscious of our identity that we are not this body, we are something else. Forget about soul. It is so tough. The consciousness of the body is so overwhelming for the living entity. So in that way, this unconscious drag that the soul has is called the Nityabadha stage. And that's how we will read one, because the purport was very small, I thought that we will read one more purport of Srila Prabhupada explaining this point, and then we will see how it relates to today's verse. So this is, all of you can open if you want, 3rd canto, 27th chapter, 24th verse. This is a very famous verse. All of you might be knowing it. Bhukta bhoga parityakta Drushtadosha cha nityasaha na ishwarasya subham dhate swe mahimni sthitasya cha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. By discovering the faultiness of his desiring to lord it over material nature and by therefore giving it up, the living entity becomes independent and stands in his own glory. Swe mahimni sthitasya cha. Because the living entity is not actually the enjoyer of the material resources, his attempt to lord it over the material nature is at ultimate issue frustrated. As a result of frustration, he desires more power than the ordinary living entity and thus wants to merge into the existence of the supreme enjoyer. In this way, he develops a plan for greater enjoyment. When one is actually situated in devotional service, that is his independent position. Less intelligent men cannot understand the position of the eternal servant of the Lord. Because the word servant is used, they become confused. They cannot understand that this servitude is not the servitude of this material world. To be the servant of the Lord is the greatest position. If one can understand this and one can thus revive one's original nature of eternal servitorship of the Lord, and then one stands fully independent. Swe mahimni sthitasya cha. So, the first principle to awaken our spiritual consciousness is cognizance. Cognizance of our own identity, of our real identity as a servant of Krishna, as the spirit soul. And that actually determines further spiritual activities. So, the first principle is our identity determines our activity. What we identify with determines our activity. I remember when I was many years before, one devotee had come and he said, Ki Prabhu, do you know, one of my friend has got 100 out of 100 in CAT. He was speaking with so much of happiness. I just said, what's so great about it? And this devotee was feeling so bad because of my nonchalant behavior. Prabhu, you're not feeling anything. I said, nothing. What do I feel? Now, Prabhu, this is a record. I said, what's the record? What's the meaning? You are a devotee. You understand, don't identify with this. This is useless. So even after becoming a devotee, we see that our material identity is so prominent and that becomes overwhelming when we act in this world. So what we identify, even if we put tilak, we put kanthimala, we've got dhoti kurta, but if we really understand that just the external display of devotion is actually not going to help us, we need to really understand and be cognizant of our right identity. Just like the example that comes in my mind is about Hanuman. When all the Banar Sena, they assembled on the shore to find Sita on the southern side of the shore, everyone was thinking how to go, how to go, how to go, and Hanuman ji was also sitting and thinking how to go. And then Jambavan was scratching his head and thinking, this Hanuman can go, but he is thinking how to go, like the other Banaras. Some were telling, I can go 10 yojanas. Some were telling, I can go 20 yojanas. Some were going, I can go, but I cannot come back. Then what's the use? And Jambavan was saying that Hanuman was also sitting completely confused whether he can go. And then Jambavan, when he made Hanuman realize his position, his identity, then Hanuman started crowing and crowing and crowing. Swe mahimni sthitasya cha. And that is the role of Guru, Sadhu and Shastras. The combined effect of the spiritual master and the Shastra, that is how Vedanta Sutra says, Shastra Yonitvat. Yoni means that which gives birth. And from the Shastra, what is taken birth is a cognizance of our real identity. Oh, so long I have been cheated by the material energy. I have been cheated by my parents, by my husband, wife, children. Everyone has been cheating me. Now I realize, oh, I am not this body. I am spirit, soul. I am servant of Krishna. So when an acharya comes in the life of a person, like Srila Prabhupada, when he went to West, no one was knowing and no one ever thought Prithvi ta achhi jagar Nagar Adigram, people thought that Prithvi is Bharatavarsha in India only. But when Srila Prabhupada went, there's such a big awakening of right identity. And as soon as people started identifying that I am servant of Krishna, so nice activity, spiritual activity. So the first principle is that our identity determines our activity. And Guru, Sadhu and Shastras, the primary role in the life of a living entity is to reawaken the real identity. My dear Prabhu, my dear Mataji, you are not Prabhu, you are not Mataji, you are Das and Dasi. And second principle is when the identity is at least understood and a person starts acting on the platform of real identity. And then this verse, which is, I spoke just now, Bhukta Bhoga Parityakta, just before that verse, Sukdev Goswami, or say Maitreya Muni, this is coming from the third canto, or Kapila Dev speaking to Devhuti, is giving a very nice example. Kapila Dev is telling in the previous verse, Agner Yoni Iva Arani. Arani is firewood. Yoni is taking birth. Agni is fire. Kapila Dev is telling that just like the fire is born from the wood, but it consumes the wood, exactly in the same way, when one person acts in the right identity, start doing the activity in the right identity as a sadhaka, then that activity of devotional service burns this body itself, consumes this material identity. We may begin performing the spiritual activities with our material body, material identity, but this devotional service is so powerful like fire, it will burn our material existence. Tiro bhavitri sanaker gradually agner yoni iva arani. So the lowest grade of the living entities are the Nitya Baddhas who have no consciousness or cognizance of their real identity. They're unconsciously being dragged to the false identity of the material world. But higher than that is a sadhaka who is consciously ensuring that my every activity is resonating with the real identity. So the definition of a Nitya Baddha is one who is unconsciously being dragged by the material energy with a false identity. But higher than that is we all sadhakas who are consciously trying to act based on the real identity, that is as a spirit soul. We are all acting. We are coming for Mangalarti, we are doing service. We really don't feel that. But we act so that we start realizing our identity. And the highest platform is a Nitya Siddha who is unconsciously dragged to his spiritual identity. Just like a Nitya Baddha is unconsciously dragged to the material identity, a Nitya Siddha person is unconsciously dragged to one's spiritual identity. I was hearing one class by His Holiness Radha Govind Swami Maharaj. In that they were telling that It is about Uddhava visiting Vrindavan, and the gopis are telling to Uddhava, one of our acharya, Maharaj was quoting one of our acharyas and telling that uh, the gopis are telling to Uddhava, oh Uddhava, Uddhava, please give Jai Shri Nitai Gauranga ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki. So gopis are telling to Uddhava, oh Uddhava, I think Krishna is very angry, very upset with us because our sons and the gopas, they disturb his sleep in the night. They get up in the night and they say, now we have to go for Gocharan. And because we have been disturbing his sleep, I think he has gone to Mathura to take nice rest. Please tell, now we will not disturb. We will ensure that our sons and the gopas are kept very nicely close so that they don't go and shout. And well, I was hearing this, one of our acharyas quoting and Maharaj was quoting, I was thinking, how nice it would be. We don't require any alarm for our Mangal Aarti. With so much of alarm we are going, we cannot reach. But we see a Nitya Siddha person, he is unconsciously being dragged. Just like Bhagavatam says about Prahlad Maharaj, Rasa Grahat Grihitatma, Krishna Graha Grihitatma. So, the consciousness of a Nitya Siddha person is unconsciously dragged to his spiritual identity, and that is what is being mentioned here by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Sri Krishna's grandson Aniruddha remained in Dwaraka to protect the city because he is originally Lord Vishnu's manifestation as the guardian of spiritual planet Svetadweep. So it's not that there had been a planned endeavor of Aniruddha that I will stay back. It is an unconscious desire that because I am the guardian, I will stay back to guard Dwaraka city. So this is how, definitely, Aniruddha is Nitya Siddha, he is Vishnu Tattva itself. But we can understand the residents of the spiritual world are unconsciously dragged to their original identity and positions. Like Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so many times he requested Murari. He said, Murari, I am chanting Hare Krishna, so why don't you also chant Hare Krishna? You also become a devotee of Krishna. And then Murari Gupta thought that Lord Chaitanya is asking me to chant Krishna's name and become a devotee of Krishna. I am a devotee of Ram. And then Murari said the next day that I want to commit suicide. I cannot stay. Lord Chaitanya asked, why? I just can't think of giving my head to anyone else other than Lord Ram. When I think that I will give my head to anyone else other than Raghunath, I feel that how can I survive? And Sanatan Goswami was quoting the same thing to Lord Chaitanya about his brother Anupam. When Sanatan Goswami was quoting that one time, both of us, Rupa and Sanatan, we two brothers, called our brother Anupam and said, Sunaha Balhava Krishna Parama Madhura Saundarya Madhurya Prema Vilasa Prachura. Oh Balhava, oh brother, please Suna, do you know Krishna is much more sweeter, much more beautiful, much more glamorous, much more whatever. His pastimes are much more sweet. Prema, Vilasa, Prachura. Why you are chanting Krishna's, Ram's name? Why don't you join us? We too are chanting Krishna's name. If you join us, three of us together will chant Krishna's name. And then Sanatan Goswami says to Lord Chaitanya that after hearing again and again and again and again, Anupam mind got motivated that I think I should follow my brothers. And then he said, tomorrow I will come to chant Krishna's name. And then the next day, he comes to Sanatan Goswami and says that I just can't do. I cannot give up your order and I cannot give up Raghunath, and that's why I should give up my life. So in this way, the Nityasiddha Bhaktas or the residents of the spiritual world, they are unconsciously dragged to the real identity. All their activities are unconsciously dragged. Just like the activities of the Nityabadhas are unconsciously dragged to take care of the body, to enjoy the body, to do sense gratification. Exactly in the same way, on the flip side, conversely, the Nitya Siddha Bhaktas are unconsciously being dragged to serve Krishna. And that's how we are actually acting in order to realize our right identity. So this is the first part we wanted to discuss based on the purport, that how Aniruddha, it is his unconscious, because it's his identity, and he's fully conscious of his identity in this world. So he is acting in this platform of his real identity as a guardian of Swetadeep. And the next important thing is that we realize now what is Nitya Baddha, what is Sadhaka, and what is Nitya Siddha. And all of us are sadhakas. So how do we transition? What is the way to transition from a sadhaka to Nitya Siddha? This is the second part we will discuss. So the second part is about how purpose defines purity. We see, just imagine, we can just imagine and picture the scenario of Dwarka at this point of time. At this point of time, Dwarka, if you see, everyone is going out for the yatra. Krishna and Balram is the yatra coordinator. Everyone is out. And Aniruddha is not going out for the yatra, staying in just to do the service. So the purpose of why we want to be with the Lord is very important. So the second principle, what transforms us from a sadhaka to Nitya Siddha, is we want to be for the Lord, not just with the Lord. So this is what we will explain now in the next 15 minutes of today's class. How a sadhaka transforms himself into a Nitya Siddha Bhakta by being for the Lord, not with the Lord. So true love is not just being with the Lord, but being for the Lord. So we'll cite some examples to clarify, and then we'll discuss again. So when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got married in Navadvip to Lakshmi Priya Devi, after marriage, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to get some wealth. Generally, Grihasthas want some wealth. That was definitely a Leela. But Vrindavan Das Thakur says that how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went to Bangladesh to earn some wealth. And there were so many students in Bangladesh. And they offered him so much of gold, rice, grains, and everything. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became so famous. Practically the entire Bangladesh, all the good students came and surrendered to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vrindavan Das Thakur says. One time in Bangladesh, in one place, there was one Brahmana, very, very pious Brahmana named Tapan Mishra. This Tapan Mishra was always confused about what is the goal of life and how to attain this goal of life. He was always reading and scrutinizingly reading all the scriptures, but he was not able to understand the goal of life. He was chanting Krishna mantra, but still he was not able to understand the goal of life. One day, in the night, one devata or a demigod-like person came in the dream of Tapan Mishra and said कि ओ ब्राह्मणा, don't feel bad. To deliver you from all the miserable situation, one person, the Nara Narayan Rishi himself, has incarnated. And he has come to Bangladesh, to your place. Go and meet to him, and surrendered your life. He is none other than Narayan. And if you surrender your life to him, you will understand the real goal of life. And then Tapan Mishra, and then this Devata says, the demigod says, but if you disclose to anyone that this personality is Narayan himself, you will be unhappy birth after birth. And then Tapan Mishra, he gets up and he feels so fortunate. He starts crying. I have been thinking about what is the goal of life. Now I have got a clue. And then he runs and he finds Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu giving a class to so many of his students. And Tapan Mishra surrenders and says, I have come to understand the goal of life. I got a dream. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gets up. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says to Tapan Mishra that the real goal of life is in this age of Kali to chant Hare Krishna. This is the first time, even without starting the Sankirtan movement, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke to Tapan Mishra about Sankirtan. And then when Lord Chaitanya said about Sankirtan and Lord Chaitanya embraced, Tapan Mishra understood that he is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as it was told to him in the dream. And what next? So we will read. Mishra kahe agya hoya ami sange asi. Prabhu kahe tumi sighra jao Varanasi. So Tapan Mishra said immediately, after he understood the goal of life to chant Hare Krishna, he immediately said, please give me instruction, O my Lord. Agya hoy, ami sange asi. I come with you, O my Lord. Prabhu kahe, tumi sighra jao Varanasi. Now Varanasi, for us Varanasi is a tourist place. But at that time, Varanasi was the hub of Shankaracharya's followers. At least if Prabhu would have said, don't come with me, stay here and chant Hare Krishna, like he said to Kurma Brahman, that at least sounds fine. To go to Varanasi and stay alone in the company of Mayavadi sannyasis who are simply speaking about nonsense about Krishna. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vrindavan Das Thakur says that in Navadvip, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to roar loudly, shout loudly in anger about Prakashananda Saraswati's activities in Varanasi. That was Lord Chaitanya's anger about Mayavad philosophy. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling Tapan Mishra, go to Varanasi. Don't stay with me. Tahai amara sange haibe milan. Kahimo sakala tattva sadhya sadhan. Tathai amar sange haibe milan. There you will get my association. Kahimo sakala tattva, and I will tell to you all the tattvas, sadhya, sadhana, everything, Varanasi. Now we understand, we have to think that Tapan Mishra was not told by the Lord when Lord will come. The timing was not given. There was no guarantee that Lord, because Lord is telling His absolute truth, He will come. But when He will come, He is not asking question. He just went. That is the quality of a Nitya Siddha Bhakta. He doesn't just want to be with the Lord. It's so nice to be with the Lord. But his purpose is not to be with the Lord. His purpose is to be for the pleasure of the Lord. for the service of the Lord. And that is so overwhelming to him that he is ready to forego being with the Lord, if that is the desire of the Lord. এত বলি প্রভু তারে দিলা আলিঙ্গন, প্রেম পুলকিত অঙ্গ হইলা ব্রাহ্মণ, পাইয়া বৈকুণ্ঠ নায়কের আলিঙ্গন, পরানন্দ সুখ পাইলা ব্রাহ্মণ তখন. So we see here, Paiya Vaikuntha Nayakera Alingan. By getting the embrace of Vaikuntha Nayak, Lord Chaitanya, Parananda Sukha Paila Brahmana Takhan. He attained a bliss which is superior than the bliss of Brahman and bliss of everything, just by getting embrace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we need to understand how difficult it would be for Tapan Mishra to leave the association of the Lord, to leave the happiness of association with the Lord, and go to a place which is filled with Mayavadis and stay there without knowing when the Lord is going to come. So this is the principle which is being explained here in this small purport by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that Aniruddha stayed back, but what we can learn from Aniruddha staying back is that if it is desire of the Lord, if it is for the pleasure of the Lord, then I am ready to not even be with the Lord, because if that pleases the Lord and if it is for the Lord. And that's how we see the Goswamis of Vrindavan. The Goswamis of Vrindavan were so attached to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would cry hearing the activities of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, and they would be feeling so much of separation from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But for them, being for the Lord in Vrindavan, for the service of the Lord in Vrindavan, was the most important thing than being with the Lord. Many of our Acharyas, Gaudiya Acharyas, have never been to Vrindavan. Gadadhar Pandit, there is no historical data that Gadadhar Pandit went to Vrindavan. There is no historical data that Swarup Damodar Goswami went to Vrindavan. Because their consciousness was so absorbed in just serving the purpose of the Lord. And this Rani speaks, Nagani apana dukha sabe banchi tara sukha amara tatparya. Moro jadi diya dukha tara hoile mahasukha, sei dukha moro sukha varya. Srimad. Purport Srila Prabhupada writes, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that a devotee does not care about his own happiness and distress. He is simply interested in seeing that Krishna is happy, and for that purpose he engages in various activities. So what is the purpose which purifies our sadhana? So purpose defines purity. So what is the purpose that purifies our sadhana and from sadhaka makes us a pure devotee? Is the purpose that am I doing my activity for Krishna's pleasure? Tad arthe, not mad arthe. If Krishna becomes happy by giving him distress, such a devotee accepts that unhappiness as the greatest of all happiness. Going ahead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if Krishna, attracted by the beauty of some other woman, wants to enjoy with her, but he is unhappy because he can't get her, I fall down at her feet, catch her hand, and bring her to Krishna to engage her for his happiness. Now, this is the highest expression of this principle of living a life not with the Lord, but for the Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord. And that is how, in the end, I would like to give the example of Srila Prabhupada. If you read the song Krishna Tava Punya 𝐂𝐻𝐌𝐌𝐔𝐍, it's a very interesting song. First part of the song speaks about preaching, and second part of the song speaks about how Srila Prabhupada remembers Vrindavan Dham. Koto bane chuta chuti, bane khaye luta luti, kabe se dina abe amara. Now in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada speaks about preaching, and in the end, Krishna. And that is how the feeling of Vrindavan is. Vrindavan and the feeling of Vrindavan, the service of Vrindavan, everyone is just thinking how and what will give supreme happiness to Krishna. And that's how Kapiladev in the third canto speaks about that Salokya, Sarishti, Samipya, Sarupya, Ekatvam Apyuta, Diyamana na grihnanti, Bina mat sevanam janaha. If there is no service, there is no activity for giving pleasure to Krishna, for giving pleasure to the Lord, my devotees, Kapiladev is telling, they don't want to be near me also, Samipya. Okay, Sarupya one can think, okay, Sarupya we Vaishnavas, Sayujya we Vaishnavas don't accept. But Kapiladev is telling, even Samipya, Salokya, Sarishti, being with the Lord in Vaikuntha, my devotees reject them if they have no service to give me happiness. So this principle is being mentioned here, and we must think that are we acting? Are we really acting on the platform to please someone? Or are we acting to please ourselves? We see so, even the Krishna conscious activities can be done to please our mind. Oh, it gives a lot of nice kirtan, makes my mind very happy. Even the Krishna conscious activities or our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam can give a lot of happiness to the intelligence. And we can rationalize everything through Krishna conscious philosophy, our ego. But we need to understand that we are not practicing Krishna consciousness to give pleasure to our mind, intelligence, or ego. We need to think that, is there anyone in this world? Okay, Krishna, I am not able to find out. Is there anyone in this world for whom I am working in Krishna consciousness to give him pleasure? And if we have at least one, then we are on the right path towards becoming a pure devotee of the Lord from being a sadhaka. So this act, this purpose of being for the Lord, for the devotees, for the pleasure of the Lord is what purifies our devotional service and makes us ultimately, not devotional service, purifies our sadhana and makes us a Suddha Bhakta. So in the beginning, we discussed about identity and activity, how every activity is determined based on the identity, and how when we do a spiritual activity, that reinstates our spiritual identity. And we were discussing about Nitya Baddha, who is unconsciously dragged to the material identity. Then we discussed about Sadhaka, who is consciously trying to act to awaken the spiritual identity. And then we discussed about Nitya Siddhas, who are unconsciously dragged to their spiritual identity, like Aniruddha, who is unconsciously doing the activity which he does in spiritual world. And we discussed many examples of Hanumanji and so many examples to illustrate that point. And then we discussed how from sadhaka we can become a Suddha Bhakta by actually defining the purpose of our spiritual activity is tad arthe, not mad arthe. And we discussed elaborately the example of Tapan Mishra and also Srila Prabhupada, how Srila Prabhupada was doing tad arthe, though he was feeling so much happiness in Vrindavan, but it's Lord Chaitanya's desire, it is his Guru's desire, I will go to the West and preach Krishna consciousness. And then in the end we discussed that even if being with the Lord, if there is no service for the Lord, all the devotees reject even the liberations which award being with the Lord if there is no service for the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana ki jai. You want to comment anything? It's already time. You want to say something? Okay. Anyone has any comments or questions? Yeah, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for such a wonderful class. Just wanted to ask whether Anupam why not chanting Hare Krishna?
Chaitanya Charitamrita says that Anupam was chanting Lord Ram's name, and that's how all these devotees, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, wanted him to chant Krishna's name, read Krishna's pastimes. So that's what Sanatan Goswami says to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that same thing I did with Murari Gupta. And he also said the same thing like your brother. And Srila Prabhupada or some acharyas write that this is a very striking feature of devotees of Raghunath, loyalty. Just like a striking feature of Krishna and his devotees is Madhurya, the striking feature of Raghunath's devotees is loyalty. So that's what is being mentioned. I exactly don't know whether he was chanting Hare Krishna or not, that's not mentioned. But definitely he was chanting Ram's name. And that's how Rupa and Sanatan, they wanted him to chant Krishna's name and hear Krishna's pastimes.
We hear that Murari used to participate in Harinam Sankirtan.
Yeah, that's true. So Murari Gupta used to come for Harinam Sankirtan, but many places when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went back to Navadvip, he called Murari and he said, Murari, I heard that you have written some slokas on Lord Ram. Please recite those slokas. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to always inspire Murari Gupta to be a Lord Ram's bhakta. Even the Mahaprakash Leela, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives Ram darshan to him. But I think this mentions about maybe the japa or the meditation and all those things. May not be the Harinam Sankirtan as per se. Okay? Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare